All right, I'm back to keep editing here. And what I'm editing is the format that the first writers wrote in. And above my head, you'll see kind of quick information of what I've done. And I've done this to like 20 books of the Hebrew text. And you can see that this is a column. So when you see the message above my head right there, he read 3 or 4 columns to the king. So that was at King Josiah's time, I think, or before him or right after him. So what I had talked about on the last one was the order was not being put together correctly, so I had to move a few things around. And what I decided to do was the text I removed would have been above about how David collected the bronze to make the pillars when he did this battle with Aram's. Those are from the Damascus area. Now Now that I got that straightened out, I can get back here to start doing this one here, or continuing. The thing here is if you're new, the format that you're seeing here is 2 major words connected with the least amount of smallest words to define a statement or a verse. In a 3 verse, this is a statement, and this is the definition or a sentence that defines the statement above. This they called a psalm, and when they pair them up, that could actually be like a larger paragraph. These are what's known as psalms. They wrote in psalms. So the thing here, I'm just gonna kind of talk to myself of why I'm editing these, because this is the me recording why I'm editing these words for the future. So, because this text, once I have it together, will be the definitive book about our Creator and Jesus. So he gave, that was my last edit, was put him and replace his name. And these, if you notice, these pieces are coming from many different books, okay? Because this part right here, and I had to add this group here last time, but you can see Chronicles 1 Chronicles 13, and then I moved on to 1 Chronicles 22, and now I'm going to go to 2 Samuel 11, okay? And I'm trying to put the text in the correct order, so when it reads truthfully. The last video, I really tried to figure out David's age at this time that he moved the tent. He was trying to move it to Hebron, and our Creator killed a priest, and so he built the tent at that location. It's on a hill. That this was the owner, and then he paid him this much in silver. Okay, now why I have Bathsheba here, or Bathsheba, I shorten these names down to help future people reading. So evening came, and David went up on the roof of his house, and from the roof he saw a woman washing, and Bathsheba was beautiful, and David sent his messenger to get her to become his wife. Now, I'm sure that's not the story you have, but David cannot be committing adultery. He is the most obedient king for all of Israel. Probably the last person we'd have would be Joshua. So here, then Bathsheba birthed a son, and he named him Solomon. Now, if you notice again, this was an order. And what happens is if I found extra pieces, I would name it part 1, part 2, and then kind of divide up chapter 11 if it had different stories. But what this is saying to me is that this was the only text in all of chapter 11 that I saved. And this is all I saved out of chapter 2, but it was very important, as you can see. Now, if you can watch this, you can see that these two make this larger format for the 3-verse format. And then these two, even though they're just separated pieces. Okay, now it has to be after Solomon was born, because when I'm guessing David's age between 53 and 55, Solomon's got to be so old. The birth of Solomon's going to depend on where I'm putting this text, actually. For the simple fact that Solomon's going to be like 12 years old. So this could be a couple years later that he's decided to build. And what he's doing at this time, that's not being said in the text, is that he's leveling off a hill, okay, because he's going to build, David's going to build the city Jerusalem, or start Jerusalem. So, and he's going to, hold on a second here. Not fast enough. Okay. Now, so in my mind, that he's got to be having them do this, and he's going to he's going to build a permanent house for our Creator. Okay. Now that's what's going on in his mind, and then he's going to rule for these 40 years. Now, for 40 years, David was 30 when he became king, and then it would be this 40 years would be 70 when he's done. So at 53 or 55, and then Solomon has to be so old when he turns his kingdom over to Solomon. And then there's going to be stories about with Solomon talks to David after Solomon is king, and then David dies. So now that I've got him 30 to 55, that's 25 years. Now I've got another 15 years to go. So how old is Solomon? And that's what's going on here in my mind, why the text goes here. Okay. Now, this is going to be about David's last battle. So here, he's older, but he's going to go out to battle. It happened after Solomon was born, King Achish. Let's see. Is that, yeah, I must have replaced his name from above. I think I put a note above with a couple question marks that I got to come through and make sure that this is the right king being mentioned all the time. This was the king that David went and stayed out of Saul's harm's way. Saul was trying to kill him. And he was this king for Edom died, and Han his son became their king. And then David said, I will show kindness to Han. So David sent his messengers to console him concerning his father. And then this is a switch. Now I've got 4-verse text, and it does the same thing. One group, and then a second group, and then I've got them divided by an extra space to show you that they are a special grouping of text. So messengers went to Han and Edom. The prince for Edom. So messengers went to Han and Edom. I have to put the word and the prince. I think that sounds about the best. And the prince for Aram said to Han, do you think David is honoring your father because he has sent 2 of his messengers to you? Or is David sending his messengers to console you in order to search as spies to overthrow you? So Han took David's messenger and shaved off their beards and sent them away. When a runner told David, who was sent to meet them, his messengers were humiliated. David went to them. David sent him to them to stay at Jericho until your beards grow, and then return to him. Yeah, him, not me. I'm trying to fit it as to who's writing this all the time. So now when Edoms learned David hated them and was gathering men, Han sent his messengers to Ezer with silver to hire Aram's army. So, okay, this is the king of Aram. When David heard he hired them, he went with Joab and all his army as the warriors from Edom. Keep bumping, Drew. Okay, so somewhere I need to put a map in here. I'm going to put it right at the beginning, but this is my mark to set a map here. And the map that I will be putting in, it needs some adjustment yet. Is here. David is in Hebron as a ruler. This will be Jerusalem in the future, but it's not Jerusalem yet, so I don't have a name here. But he told him to stare at Jericho, and Edom is down here, so this would have been the path that his messengers would have took. These mounts are awfully high. They could have ascended here, but then they got across the river, and I'm not sure if there would be bridges across there. So my best guess would be stay in the lowland and then go up the hill after they're in Edom. This is Edom's sending out to all the way up here, which Aram is here, and to Damascus is where Ezer is living, and he's going to hire him for silver. And what this is this is where David is going to talk to Joab that you go this, I'll go this way, you go this way and fight Edoms. So that's going to come up in the text here right now. When David heard, he hired them. He went with Joab and all his army and all his army as the warriors from Edom came and drew up in battle array in the land by their river. Okay, so visually, this would have been their river. Okay, so there was a way for them to cross, and they're going to battle here. Now, this is a desert here, and this is a waste wilderness, which means where their trees are like islands around sand, and the tree has got only a few green leaves on it and a few branches, wind whipped type of tree. And then it goes on for probably maybe half a mile before all of a sudden it starts green. So this is what they're going to do, is divide them, and they're going to go. Now I have a bridge here, but the object is, you can see it's open land. So I'll be adjusting this map, but this is what's being that they drew up battle, and that's where they're going to be. So we pretty much have actually locations dictated by the text where these battles happened. When the Armenian warriors were in the valley and coming to battle behind our enemy, okay, behind our army, the Armenian warriors were in the valley and coming to battle behind our army. So let's see how this is dividing the two mounts. There's three mounts here, and then Edom is a mount. But the object is this river goes down to the Dead Sea, so this is the valley. So what I've got to have is now David's got to come and cross here, and now this here line needs now to be moved over here, and they're going to battle here, but the other guys are coming here now. So now when David saw the battle was behind him, in front and in the rear, battle was against him in front and in the rear, he selected from his army our mightiest men, and these he arrayed against the Armenians, and the rest of his army he placed in the hand of Joab his commander to be against Edoms. Then David said to him, if the Armenians are too strong for me, then you will help me. But if Edoms are too strong for you, then I will come to help you. But let us show our courage before our men and wivy our creator. And let wivy do what is good in his sight. So David and his men drew up near to battle the Armenians, and they fled before him. Edom saw the Armenians fleeing. Because this is a valley going down, they probably had spotters to see what was going over top, and then the message would have been relayed down to the valley. The Edom saw the Armenians fleeing, so they also fled before Joab. When Joab entered their cities to fight against the men from Edom, he killed Han and many of his men, but his guards fled with his just-born son. Now I had to add all this because this guy is going to come back. He's going to come back as he's going to go to live in Egypt. He's going to be given one of the king's king's wife's sister to him to marry, and then he's going to go back to Edom, and then he's going to become a marauder or a raider, and then he's going to go up to Damascus and make himself pretty much king, and then he's going to cause a lot of trouble, and his descendants after him are going to cause trouble. So to introduce him into the text, since this was the perfect place to put it, because I only had one, and then this group here, I had 3 lines that something was missing of the story, and it gets filled in. So when the Arameans fled, they gathered themselves together. Now when David, when it was told to David, he gathered his army and went to the Arameans, and as they met David, they fought against him, and David's army killed the Arameans and the commander of their army. When King Ezer knew his were defeated by David, he made peace with Israel and were their subject like Edom's people. So Job went down and said, killed that guy. They fled and then made them subjects as well. Yes, it needs an S. And yes, I note everything I'm changing from the very beginning of the text. And from Damascus, I need a comma to show that these are cities up there. I don't think it's important to have that noted on the map as where these cities are at. Where King Ezer, and David took a very large amount of bronze from him, and he also took his gold and silver back to Jerusalem, and the Arameans became subjects to David, and they were to bring tribute to him. That's being repetitive. Oh, that's different chapters, so I'm surprised he didn't kill the king here. But when King for Hamath heard David killed Han, now I got to go look up this guy above. So I got to do a search, and I want it up. And now I got to put this here. Because what I'm checking is this king. Was he killed off last time, and this is a different king's name? Okay, this is the first king here. Okay, so this is his son after that then. So that's good. I just need to make sure everything is right here. Oh, I forgot to do that with the chats. Sorry, I haven't caught up with the chats yet. Oh, I forgot to do this as well. And that was, okay, 8. So that did get noted. It did keep the last one. I'm still learning how to stream through Restream. Now I need to get the chat window open. Dock here. Well, I can close this here. Close that there. I can save that. I'm sorry, I didn't. I usually put the chat up here right behind me here, so if somebody chats, yeah, see, I didn't know that was going on. Shalom, yes. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't see your text. And then drill? Against or not in favor of. Yep, sounds about right. Okay, welcome aboard. So this here, what I'm doing, how come that should have popped up? Let me, now I'll make sure that the chat, how come it, okay. Oh, that bottom text was from last time. Okay, so sorry, now I got you on board. Thanks for commenting, and I really apologize. But okay, now this here story here, 2 sent Jojam his son to King David to meet with him and thank him. Okay, now David had fought his father and killed his father because he went and helped Aram in the story above. So this is going to be his son that replaced him. And this is like he was been fighting Aram. So this had to take like a probably about anywhere between I'm guessing 10 to 15 years later that this guy has been king. The period for this king before he was battling with Arams, and then he sent him a gift of this gift. So Torah sent Jam, his brother, to King David to meet with him and thank him, because he had wars against Han, and he could not defeat him to stop the warring. And Jojam brought with him articles of gold, silver, and bronze. Articles of gold are going to be changed to be talents. Talent. I'm not sure if I'm spelling this right, meaning a piece of gold. So I will change that and put bars of gold. So I'm changing, because articles is pretty much things that they would have made out of gold into like a bowl, a candlestick, these type of things. So I don't want that to be in the text. So it has to be bars of gold, silver, and bronze as bars of gold, silver, and bronze as a gift to David. And King David also dedicated these to Yahweh with the kings he subdued. David made a name for himself by killing the Armenians, and he put garrisons in Edom, for they became subjects to David. So he set up a place for his men to stay and keep rule over Edom. Okay, so David ruled over all of them and Israel with justice, and Job was his commander, and Jehoz was his interpreter, and Zodek and Ahab were priest and prophet, and Sur was his recorder. Now, what this is actually saying is David now had these as subject. This shouldn't be the color. This is Egypt yet. So this, he ruled over the Philistines. He now ruled over all this area here, and then up in here, Aram. So this is where he went and got the stuff for to build the house for our Creator. So that's the new territory that is going to be handed over to Solomon. So that needs to be, well, I have to put it at the end. So I will say map goes here. And now this text here, when I was piecing these together, I had put different books already in. So this, I already found that, see, this is the other ruler that they named for Edom, but they don't name his son here. So I couldn't use this text here. See, now it's Han again. So what I did, if there was any information that told a story or a better story, I would move a verse or two and put it in there. But as you can see, it's pretty much the same thing. See, there's the word talents of silver. Okay. But I'll probably change them to bars. Well, the word bars is actually could mean other things than what it is. So maybe I should come back here and use talents and do it, because what I'm trying to do is keep all words like words. So if they barred the gate, I don't want that confused with bars of gold. So I'm trying to make sure every word has its own meaning or own definition. So then David gave orders to gather Israelis and make them stone cutters to hew blocks to build his house. David also prepared iron to make nails, to build Wivey's house and fence, to be larger and greater. Before his death, David summoned Solomon and our tribes, and David said to them, I want to build a house. Now this is out of order. Yep, this is out of order. I can tell it already. And why is it out of order? Because Absalom is going to try to promote himself as being king. And that's all got to happen before he can announce that Solomon is the one, our creator. Because that's what this text is here. But a son will be born to me. Now that's going to be linked to the prophecy above. But I haven't went through all our creator's words to cross-reference them with us. And that will be done probably in the next editing of the text. So this, I know, let me see, how do I get to this spot? I'll just put this bar here, and then I'll make that bar is 16. That one, when I'm searching for where I want that text to put in. It'll be easier for me to find. It's starting to get 9 o'clock, and I gotta turn the AC on. I'm in Florida, so yeah, and it's not even sunshine out here yet. Maybe that's why it's so late. I'm turning it on. All right. Then David gave orders to gather Israelis to make them stone cutters, to hew blocks, to build Wivey's house. And also David prepared iron to make nails. Now, these blocks, I know the disciples going to turn to Jesus and say, the stones of the house are beautiful. Well, they didn't. They were blocks. And that's what, these blocks, what kind of blocks were they and what color were they? Well, later Solomon is going to say, we made him a forever house. So now we know that they're granite blocks. And let me see if I've got that here, because we have to go all the way back to the tent when it was being built to find out what color granite was being used, because I have a picture of the quarries in Israel today, and I don't have that. How come? Maybe it's under new maps. Nope. Okay, what it is that you have to go back and find out that our Creator had Moses built it with ram hides around the bottom and goat hides for the roof. And I guess I should show you the roof, because a lot of people don't know that there was a roof. And what they need to do is understand in Exodus 26, verse 26, you change this one word from bars to arches, and this wood here makes this. So we have a hip roof, and this was revealing his true roof for his tent, which they did put as a house on the house as well, his house for meeting with him. It's never called a temple. Now, there is a red granite quarry next to Jerusalem, but there is a white granite quarry next to Hebron. So that's where they got where the stone cutters were cutting and getting ready. Now, the other thing is there's going to be a courtyard and a fence that has to go around it. And they're going to build that out of limestone, because hewing granite is a lot. Into limestone, we will find out there's a quarry of limestone up by Shechem, because they were complaining about their workload being too heavy to Rehoboam. And then that's when our Creator divided the one nation into two, Israel and Judah. So this is important to have here, and now you understand what was going on at that time. David also prepared iron to make nails to build Wivey's house and fence. Well, it's iron nails to build Wivey's house. To build in. See, what happens is the first, those wood rafters that are going to be built for his house, those are going to have to be put together somehow and make nails, but also there's going to be all wood paneling on the inside of his meeting room that they're going to overlay with gold, and then on the outside which is a very long area, but that's where all the utensils, the plates, the knives, the forks that they used, that's where they'd hang their robes up, get them in the morning. They have their horns in there to blow for the year of Jubilee. What else do they have here in there? I would say some of the poles that they used to use to carry the items. So there's a lot in that room. So it's going to have to be to build in Wyvie's house. It has to be that. And fence to be larger and greater. I don't like the word fence being put here right now because it's implying that these nails are going to go into the fence that are going to be made out of limestone. If I put a comma, that means that's one subject, this is another subject, the best I can do. Okay. Before his death, David summoned Solomon and our tribes, and David said to them, I wanted to build a house for Wyvie, but Wyvie told me, I have killed many and wounded more, so I am not to build his house and items needed for our forgiving. This is going to be changed to courtyard. The courtyard, I was thinking items would have been the altars, the stands, the pails, the shovels, the hooks, stands that are got to go on the altar. I was thinking that, but this is more or less a better word. Oops, this one was supposed to be out. So it's got to be courtyard needed for our forgiving. But a son will be born to me, and he will give him and them rest, and you are to name him Solomon. See, that isn't in the text above, just this verse in his prophecy to him. And I will give peace to Israel in his days, and he will build my house. Now, my son, Wyvie will be with you to be successful and build his house. Then David commanded the leaders for Israel to help his son. These are the leaders, which means they have to get their men to come and help him. Okay. Help his son. Then David rose to his feet. Then David rose to his feet and said, listen to me, my brethren and people, my brethren and my people, my brethren and my people. I had intended to build a forever home for the just and Wyvie, and I have made preparations. But Wyvie told me, you will not build my house, for you are a male of war and shed blood. Yeah, this is kind of repeating here. so that I keep one story and get rid of the other. Well, no, this has the stories of getting the stone cutters, which is missing in the next one here. This has got to be to gather Israelis. To gather Israelis and gather from them stone cutters. So this has to be gather as well from them. It's a bit far away from it. Okay. But David also had to make the plates and the utensils. Solomon just had to build it. Now see, this is where this really subject changes. This is like one story and this is another story. So I didn't really recognize that, so this has got to be part 1. This is going to be part 2. Yeah, I got to have that story of Ashlam there. Now this, maybe I can just get rid of all this text. Let's see if this story is here. This is my brother and my people. I intended a forever home for the chest and Wybie, and I have made preparations. But Wybie told me I will not build my house. Okay, that's above, but he told me your son Solomon, who is rebuild the house and my courtyard. Now, so now in the sight of all Israel, now this is all, this got to be all caps, all Israel, and I used that for when they came out of Israel, and then David put them back together. That's Israel, how it's going to be noted. I've got like 5 different ways to make sure knows what's everybody knows, or the readers know what the text means. But we are assembled by Wyvie and had in the and we are assembled by Wyvie. So they're now back by the tent that he set up, and is to obey all the commandments of Wyvie and possess our land for your sons after you, and Wyvie has chosen you to build a house and fence. Be courageous and act. Then David gave his son his plans for his house and plan for a courtyard, because they aren't built. That's what this is. And the surrounding fence for his house for meeting with him, and the gates to the courtyard. The tribe's priest and their attendants for the service, and everyone that was willing that had any skill in any of the work to be under your command. This needs added words here. It's for our, make it more personal here. For our tribe's priests and their attendants for the service. This is by a creator, and everyone is willing, and those and who had and who had any skill in any of the work will be under because this is sounding like this is David's words until it gets here. So, and for everyone, and everyone was willing. See, this is almost like the end of what's said. See, this almost reads like two different parts. This is like a 4-verse. This has to be his command, this is talking about Simon, or not Simon, Solomon. So get rid of this. This word is now if everyone is willing. If everyone is willing, that sounds like he's still talking. If everyone is willing, who has any skill in any of the work will be under his command. That now sounds like David was saying all this. Okay. Okay, he had gathered and told them. Oh boy. I was thinking that up here was a space that I needed. Or is it right here for Ashland? So this now can't be here. It might be here. Before his death. And I want to get rid of this second part. In this, this is important because he's going to Ashland has got to make himself king, and then Solomon's got to be announced as king by David before he can talk to them. So Ashland goes here, but this, I'm going to get rid of this as out, and then it would read, yes, Ashland here. And now before his death, David summoned the tribes. He said to them, I wanted to build a house for Wyvie. And these are here. That's good. But David can't be dying here yet. Okay, I'm gonna leave off here, and let me put an equal sign there. Now here. This is what's got to be moved up. Or do I just move this text? Because this is going to be a long story. So I'm going to move the above text. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to change it to red or dark blue. Dark blue. Move blue grouped stories below. And what is, let's see, I used, okay, I'm going to start with 6A, 6B this time. Or 6A, 6A. Now I've got to copy all this. Now I've got to find the end story here. That's all got to happen together as a group. Okay, so up here, this blue group now just gets to be 8 point. And I can get rid of this. This is the story that's got to happen right now. King David in his last days